Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 12.6. I am a graveyard.
Not me. I am the... What's the opposite of a graveyard? Like a... What's the place where babies get born? Hospitals. Well, a lot of people die in hospitals these days. I'm a maternity ward. Welcome back. Let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
When Anatrice Delced was 5 years old, she did not own a teddy bear. Homelander-looking ass. Her caretaker found her with it anyway, hiding in an alcove. It took them no time at all. There were probably security cameras everywhere in the set. But at the time, Anatrice just assumed that the caretakers knew everything. How many people lived on set? Was it like a planet, or was it just like a big base?
It's a facility on an uninhabited planet.
Oh, so from the set isn't like from this planet. It's from this facility.
Yeah.
Oh. For the children of the set, the masters of their tiny world might as well have been God. Who are you? The caretaker asked her. Their eyes were cold and clinical, like they were looking down a microscope. Anatrice said what she foolishly assumed was the truth. Anatrice, an open-handed slap. This belongs to Sally, the caretaker explained, snatching the toy away from her. There were 6 of them living in that little dormitory. Anatrice, Sally, Trace, March, Rachel, and Sal. Anatrice hadn't known that the toy had belonged to Sally. Nobody had told her, but why would they? When she sat down to eat at the canteen, the caretaker each time would appear again. Who are you? The caretaker would ask her. Again, she would answer wrong. Anatrice. A kick to the gut. Dude, she's 5! Oh my god! Just imagining fucking Vanilla Ice with Iggy. This food belongs to Trace, the caretaker explained, snatching the tray away from her. Oh, is this their way of conditioning her to become other people or something? Is that the said specialty, is like personalities? Because Kot was from the said too, right?
Yeah, well, so is Bruno and Serena.
Yeah, so is that how they make people strong? They're like, you're multiple people now.
Usually,
They're supposed to be... I thought they were trying to make cogitants, not fucking umbrans.
Pseudo-cogitants.
That's so fucked up. Fuck this place. It took her time and pain to realize the correct answer. When the caretaker found her with the teddy bear. So do they just, like... When you come in, do they decide what ability they're going to force you to make?
Yeah.
That's so awful. They're like, ooh, this sounds fun to put on a child. When I guess the thinking is, because kids have really malleable brains, they can learn a lot that, like, adults can't when they're young.
Yeah,
so I guess you get it in young.
So it's fine.
It took her time and pain to... No, it's not. It's just easier. It took her time and pain to realize the correct answer. When the caretaker found her with the teddy bear again in a new hiding place, they asked the question, the prelude to a beating. But the girl understood now. Who are you? The caretaker asked. Sally, she replied. Without another word, the caretaker left the girl to her playtime. It was like she'd discovered some magic words. When she gave her name as Trace in the canteen, she'd be given warm food. Not the stale leftovers she'd become accustomed to. This is like cult techniques, by the way.
Yeah.
This is so fucked up. Did you, like, research this?
No, I know about it, though.
That's so fucked up. When she gave her name as March at nights out, she'd be allowed to sleep in a bed, not on the cold floor. The solution had been so simple, she couldn't quite believe it. One day, the caretaker came again as she played with the teddy bear. Who are you? They asked. She'd known the answer, and answered proudly, hugging the thing to her chest. Sally! And what is your favorite color, Sally? The caretaker asked. Dude, you gotta get to know your other classmates or you will die here. The girl had blinked, confidence replaced by ignorant terror in that one moment. She didn't know the answer. Red? A punch to the nose. It had been a painful lesson, but correcting it was easy enough. Soon enough, she'd learned Sally's favorite color, green, for playtime, and Trace's favorite food, beans, for lunch. Soon enough, those were her favorite color and her favorite food. But that was only natural. They were the things that kept her safe. But the questions grew harder. Soon she had to answer from deeper levels of understanding. Questions about more intimate matters. Fears, hopes, dreams, memories. The punishments grew harsher accordingly. An incorrect answer could mean a severe beating or days in isolation. Empathy was nourished as a survival trait. The survival trait. Her eyes grew ever more adept and her ears more inquisitive. Every waking moment was spent observing these people, knowing them, so she could be them. Nothing about them could be allowed to escape her attention. Once she could answer those questions perfectly, they were replaced with the tests. Long sheets of questions, she had the answer in the exact same way her fellows had, down to the way they wrote their names at the top. All of it was measured down to the centimeter. Even with the surgeries to help her along, that gauntlet took her months to clear. By the time she had earned the right to eat properly again, she looked like a skeleton. The tests were not the end. There was always a new level of perfection to be pursued. Soon enough, they put sensors on her head, verifying even her subconscious reactions to stimuli. If she reacted incorrectly, if she forgot who she was meant to be, the punishment was so bad she still had nightmares about it to this day. But she did it. She did it. She did it so well she could become anyone in a moment's notice. Everyone was so proud of Sally, Trace, March, Rachel, and Sal. They told them all the time whenever she brought them out. Toys, food, sleep, safety. When she figured it out. So, were the other kids just treated better?
Yeah, they were just doing other things.
What the fuck? Wait, the people who tortured Jakob weren't said, right? They were like supremacy? Okay. Once she figured it out, the answer was so obvious it made her feel stupid. Why had it taken her so long to understand? It wasn't that those things hadn't belonged to Annatrice, it was that those things couldn't belong to Annatrice. Annatrice didn't exist. That was just the absence of a real person, which she had mistaken for a self. Funnily enough, she also realized that, even though she studied them thoroughly, she hadn't actually spoken to any of those people in years. Not to Sally, Trace, March, Rachel, or Sal. But she guessed that made sense. Only freaks talk to themselves, after all. Hey, I talk to myself.
Freak!
Hey! No!
Take him to the
blow
set.
my nose. Oh my god, I need to blow my nose. I gotta make it. She thought her mistake had been corrected with that realization, but it was only years later that she truly comprehended the depths of her misunderstanding. Over the course of her training, she had become a darling to the researchers of the set. It made sense. She was a case they could point to prove their methods worked. A human consciousness so thoroughly adjusted it could truly become anyone else. An impersonation so perfect it even allowed her to access their aether, because she's changing her consciousness.
Yeah.
Oh, but like the fact that that's tied to them, and she has their ability, she doesn't have to create them from scratch, means to me that aether holds that information, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
This guy's a sponge for consciousness, so yes, that stuff like soaks in.
So if you develop someone like Annatrice, really, oh, that's insane. If she was just more powerful, she would be like the most threatening character in the whole story. Oh my god, that's terrifying, Tan. Over the course, of course, it didn't matter to her what people thought of Annatrice. Annatrice didn't exist, so even opinions of her were irrelevant. Still, when they came to her with their proposal, she dutifully listened. She behaved as if there was a person called Annatrice who could be pleased with the attention. Someone very important is going to be visiting soon, they said, taking her aside. The sponsor, who's responsible for this entire facility. His impressions of us could make or break this project. Do you understand? You need to show him how far you've come, what you've become capable of. Can you do that? The girl nodded. She would obey. That was what she was for. This so-called demonstration was something she'd done many times before, as had every other subject in the facility. An obstacle course to show off her physical conditioning, a combat simulation to display her ability to operate under pressure. Only the last part of the demonstration was specific to her. The sensors were put against her head again, so that the man above could see her brainwaves adjust in real time to perfectly match those of another. To watch another person truly occupy that empty shell. Her eyes had glanced upwards. That was her sin. Yes, there was the man above. The sponsor. The man who'd put all of this together. He was watching the entire demonstration from an observation chamber hanging over the room. Through the glass window she could even see him. She could see his face. It was a surprise. She hadn't expected him to be someone she knew off the news. That famous Unite Fleet captain, Jamie Pierrot. What?! He funded the set? Does that mean he funded Bruno and Serena, too?
Yeah.
Didn't he, pretend to not know them in Arc 4?
He's a big liar.
What the fuck? Is that really it? Is that why Dragon didn't trust him?
Well, it's because Constantines don't trust the prince, instinctively.
Okay, so that was real. Okay. What the fuck? Did Bruno and Serena know him?
No.
Oh my god. All for the sake of peace, am I right? Jesus Christ. Jesus, he had a child beaten from age 5? What the fuck? Guys, it's time to cancel Pierrot. Sobek? Who's the big Pierrot fan? They're gonna be in tears. Is it Sobek? He's gonna be destroyed. Oh god. Oh god. It's Sobek, right? Oh, should I warn him?
No.
They're about to cancel his bestie. The moment she recognized him, his cold eyes flicked down to regard her. A shiver immediately ran down her spine, and the brainwaves on the monitor shuddered in sympathy. That was bad. That wasn't good. Right now, she was meant to be Trace. She was Trace. Trace wouldn't be frightened by something like this. But that man, his eyes, there was something wrong about him. No, that wasn't it. He was something wrong. Nobody said a word to admonish her, but word came down the next day that the said project was going to be discontinued, that they were all going to be thrown away, that they weren't needed any longer. And she knew that it was all because of her. Wait, so the said isn't active anymore?
No.
Oh, thank fucking God. Fuck Jamie Pierrot. Jakob Del Said took in a cold breath of air. It felt like... Does that mean his plans would have been furthered if he had known that she really had the power?
Well, we don't know his thought process, so what exactly happened. We know her perspective.
Oh my God. Jakob Del Said took in a cold breath of air. It felt like such a long time since he'd been outside like this. Funny, I wasn't even mistaken. He died in the dark after all, hadn't he? In that, oh my God, the SCP reference? Really? Hey, in that cramped cell, shredded until he was nothing but reflex and nostalgia. Actually, I thought he technically finished dying against Kot, didn't he?
Yeah, but he wasn't enough of him to, realise that at the time.
Right. How surreal it was to come back from the dead. Jakob, whispered Bruno. Oh God, what should Jakob's eyes be? Or voice be, I mean. I don't know why I said eyes.
Maybe like a slightly higher pitched Bruno, I'd say.
It felt like such a long time since he'd been outside like this. Funny, I wasn't even mistaken. Whoops. How surreal it was to come back. Yeah, oh wait, I went way back.
You just love that sentence so much.
Jakob's eyes looked down from the white dome above to regard his opponent. Things became more surreal by the moment. He'd never expected to be put in opposition against Bruno and Serena. Hell, he'd never considered it possible. Especially in a physical confrontation between two different bodies. Wait, does he have to fight them? Like, is he not in control of that? Still, if it was what the situation demanded, he would show no mercy. Does Jakob have some sort of, dysphoria? Or is he just, shifting? Oh, okay. It's been a long time, Bruno, Jakob called out, violet-purple aether curling around his hands. You two have gotten strong, huh? Clay began to drip out of Jakob's hands, manifested from his aether, sculpting and hardening as it flowed. In one hand, Jakob Del Said soon clutched a mighty greatsword, in the other a round shield. This ability had no name, nor did it need it. Wait, so those were always his abilities?
Well, he makes that of clay.
Oh, and they made, just...
So he can do
energy?
both of them, but not as good.
Okay. A nameless ability was the sign that the user has completely... Is it had or has?
Had, sorry.
A nameless ability was the sign that the user had completely accepted their power as part of their being. Ah, it's totally melded with you. It's like moving an arm. That's cool as shit! There was no need to consciously bring it forth with the self-hypnosis of an ability name. These three, Jakob, Bruno, and Serena, were one in the way they had accepted their main abilities utterly. But they were still far weaker than her. Him! Wait, is this Anatrice trying to channel Jakob? Jakob frowned. Something seemed off, but it didn't matter. He had a job to do. One thing... Oh, you know what I bet it is?
What?
So Jakob got used to sharing a body with two other people, so maybe he can feel Anatrice in here. Maybe he can give her the therapy she needs. Is that what's going on? Because he's used to sharing a body. Tan? Did I predict too much again?
No, keep going.
One thing you learned at the SED, perhaps the main thing you learned at the SED, was how to turn off your emotions and get the job done. When Jakob's old body spoke again, it was with Serena's voice. Anatrice, she said, her eyes dark, clutching two invisible swords. Don't try that! Don't even think about copying Jakob! Jakob sighed. This girl already explained to you that her ability isn't copying. Weren't you listening? She emulates the personality of her target so perfectly that it connects to their aether, and any gaps are filled by the residual memories within that aether. Do you understand? Then, Serena spluttered, you are? If you'd consider a person to be the sum of their memories, Jakob said, lowering his stance, then yes, I am Jakob Del Said in every way that matters. But enough talk. Prepare yourself. If you're not careful... He hissed. I'll kill you! Jakob launched off the ground, crossing the distance between himself and Serena in an instant. It wasn't that he was faster than her, it wasn't that he was stronger than her, it was only that he was calmer than her. She'd been thrown off by his sudden appearance, and that was the edge that Anatrice, Jakob, needed to kill her. Those swords Serena was holding, they'd originally been barriers created by Bruno, hadn't they? That was new, it was strange, but Jakob could sense the way that ability worked, like he was familiar with it. His Bruno's, and Serena's aether were inevitably intermingled. Perhaps that was the explanation? No matter. The only thing that mattered was the advantage it gave Anatrice. Jakob! His sword struck twice, each blow shattering one of the invisible swords in Serena's hands. Those things were incredibly sharp, but if you knew the exact point they were going to strike, you could withstand it through massive infusion at the moment of impact. Jakob's greatsword thus remained intact, allowing her to swing a third time towards Serena's throat. I saw that her snuck in there, Tan, without a correction. This was it. She'd won. She'd done it. He'd stopped the blade in midair, right before it would have severed Serena's head from her body. Serena hadn't even blinked. She'd known from the very beginning that Jakob Del Cid couldn't kill his little sister. Oh, that's so sweet. Did I get you? Jakob smirked. Serena smiled sadly. Not for a second. Suddenly, Jakob's no, Jakob's smirk twisted into the devilish grin it really was. Serena had put her guard down. It had all been part of his plan from the very start. She'd just been pretending to show mercy. He'd just been pretending. This was all part of her plan. Die! She croaked out. It didn't ring true. That wasn't something Jakob Del Cid would say. That wasn't something Jakob Del Cid would do. He was Jakob Del Cid, so she couldn't do those things, so he couldn't. Why were those eyes looking at her like that, with such pity, with such sadness? Were they sad because Jakob Del Cid was attacking them? That was it. She was Jakob Del Cid, so they weren't expecting it. They were sad, and they were... they... Oh my god, pronoun meltdown. Oh no! It's the smell of medicine, right? Bruno Del Cid murmured, his voice quiet in the darkness of the farm. You can't get it out of your head no matter what, and you can't stand to look at scalpels. I still get that. Sometimes. Shut up! Jakob Del Cid wheezed short of breath, her head burning with pain. Bruno blinked, staring in confusion at the rapidly shifting expressions on her face. Who are you right now? He wondered. Who are you? 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 Who are you right now? Who was he? Who was she? They kept asking that damn question. Shut up! Anatrice Del Cid roared, her eyes bulging out of her sockets, her hand snapping to her sheathed blade. Ego emulation, Negan rush! Whatever, Anatrice... Ooh, that shouting's actually starting to hurt my gums a little. Ooh, because of my surgery.
Your body couldn't withstand it.
Yeah, my wisdom teeth. Ooh. Whatever Anatrice had intended to do was clearly too much for her. The moment she began to move with that impossible speed, the back of her suit exploded outwards, in a burst of sparks and wires, fragments of bloody shrapnel raining out onto the ground. She staggered backwards, mouth forced open by the pain, gasping for air. Then, her body constricted like a statue, she collapsed back onto the ravaged ground. There she lay, eyelids fluttering incoherently. Wordless murmurs pouring from her lips, a brain in revolution against itself. What would happen if she tried to copy Musashi?
She wouldn't be able to do it, he's alive.
Oh yeah, but like if he was dead, how would that work with like Negan? Would it also be both of them?
Yeah, Negan would count as a different person for the purposes of that.
Okay. Even though they kind of merged a little bit?
Yeah.
Bruno watched it all, and Serena watched it all. Their gaze was downcast. Even though this girl had tried to kill them, they took no joy at all in what they'd just seen. Witnessing a consciousness disintegrate like that. They knew that given the tiniest adjustments to their circumstances, that could have been them. Still, they had a job to do. Now that Bruno had defeated his target, he had to move on and back up the others. Ruth and Rex would have headed straight for the receiver tower, so his best bet was to make his way there as well. He took a single step back from the unconscious girl. Sorry, he muttered. Wait, how old was Anatrice? Because they're only like in their 20s.
She's like 18.
So the Cid disbanded like 2 years after they left?
Well, she...
Or do you not graduate at 18?
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, she didn't really graduate. It was more like it shut down. Like, good luck.
Yeah. His best bet was to make his way there as well. He took a single step back from the unconscious girl. Sorry, he muttered. It wasn't like anything he could say would make anything better. Without another word, he turned on his heel and ran off into the night. His footsteps slowly faded away, until that space was filled only with the sound of Anatrice Del Cid's delirious mumbling. What made her break down? Was it just having Jakob?
Basically,
because he
yeah.
knew? Oh no. Because he knows. A minute later, he came running back. With a surly look on his face, he picked up the girl and slung her over his shoulder. There, he complained to himself, grimacing. Happy now? Then he ran off into the night. We just pull skippers here, I guess. We just kidnap people. Was she one of the three?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, she was
the
one
three
of the black
big...
sheep.
Oh, is he gonna have, like, is he gonna get all the Del Seds back together again?
The band.
Give them a family, the Del Sed family? Oh, man, I need to blow my nose really bad. A man whistled quietly to himself, enjoying the show. Far above, high in the sky, yet just inside the dome, there hovered a hulking humanoid figure. This was not a person, it contained a person, but the shape itself was of an armored chassis. Yo! Ah, that hurt my gums again. A suit of advanced heavy armor capable of turning a normal human into a titan of battle. And never mind what it could do with an Aether user. Is this from, Downpour?
It is, though, yeah.
Hell yeah. This particular model was wide and stocky, spherical head coated with dark lenses that made it look like it was wearing giant sunglasses. Inside the cockpit, the special officer they called Blue leaned forward and took a sip of Energo from the waiting straw before him. This chassis wasn't exactly top of the line, but the refreshment module was pretty nifty. You just didn't get this kind of customization with the new Halcyon Gigas... Is it Gygas?
Gygas.
The Halcyon Gygas models. Besides, he'd heard that this was the same kind of chassis that the guy they called Appointment used. Yo! He's here? Oh my god, Appointment! And if it was good enough for a legend like that, it was good enough for Blue. Yo! Is this the last Black Sheep?
No.
He didn't know what was going on. These randos were attacking the Providenza for some reason, but he knew what he was being paid for. As soon as he got the all clear from his client, he was to reduce this place to rubble and soot.
There's also a special officer here for some reason.
So do all Del Seds have personality abilities?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about making like a Del Sed OC. So I have a lore question for you. Mm-hmm. And this is also because I'm greedy and need stuff for the roleplay. So you mentioned how the UAP doesn't really have anything like special officers. They have the Nebula and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and then the actual proper military.
Right. But we know that Vantablack Squad exists. Are there other groups like that? Or are there other like paramilitary organizations that you could feasibly make a UAP character that maybe doesn't have the same privileges legally, but is like a special officer?
Well, yeah, the UAP is an alliance of planets, so they all have their own sort of cultural things and positions within their own governments as well.
I might have to get lore out of you at a later date then and be like, what would this planet's paramilitary group be that I could use? Because I've been thinking about making a UAP OC, because we have mostly special officers and like mercenaries and stuff. But yeah, I was just thinking about that. Let me go to the Aether thread. I feel like I need to do at least one Aether thread question per chapter. Okay. Why? Ooh! Okay. This is a really good question. It's actually kind of like two questions.
Okay.
You may not be willing to answer it, unless there are multiple examples of it, because I don't know if it's a spoiler. But Wiser Than You first asks, is Cadman the most powerful Supreme that's ever existed?
I would say he's up there. I wouldn't say he's necessarily the most powerful. He's like in the top tier.
Interesting. So he's like S tier, Supreme.
Supreme tier.
And then Weiser also asks, or was there a previous one who was even more powerful, but either died outside of combat or was killed by a weaker successor in a clever way?
Well, yeah, so there was one who was basically, I think I mentioned before, Eliza was her name, and she had basically ability to like change the past of an object. Not actually in time manipulation, but she could like make it change as if it had a different past. And she just died of old age.
Was she, like, powerful as fuck?
Yeah.
Like, how could you use that? I guess because you could, like, alter reality.
Well, her personal weapon was, like, a giant Aether armament, and she could change the past to change its abilities, whatever she wanted. Like, she changed the process that you developed.
So, is Eliza what the ship is named after?
No, that's a separate Eliza.
See, this is where we're at the point in Aether, where you have so many characters and things that we're committing the author's sin of reusing names.
That's Eliza in all caps. This is Eliza in normal caps.
Hell yeah. But this is cool, because this is different than the other female Supreme you mentioned, right?
I think,
or is it the same one?
Which was the other one? Because I might have mentioned her already.
I don't remember, but I asked you, one of them was if there was ever a female Supreme, and I thought they had a different ability. But maybe I'm misremembering, and it was just the same person.
Might have been.
Maybe. Alright. Well, thank you guys for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.